mocked and all of those things and spit upon and be separated from his Father as he bore the sins of the world. And Jesus said that his soul is deeply grieved, so that, what he said, I am almost dying of sorrow. Stay here and stay awake and keep watch with me. And after going a little further, he fell face down and prayed, saying, my Father, if it is possible, that is consistent with your will, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will. And he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, so you men could not stay awake and keep watch with me for 1 hour. Keep actively watching and praying that you may not come into temptation, that the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. He went away a second time and prayed, saying, my Father, if this cannot pass away unless I drink it, will be done. Again he came and he found them sleeping, but their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed for the third time, saying the same words once more. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Listen, the hour of my sacrifice is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed unto the hands of sinners, whose way and nature is to oppose God. Get up, let us go. Look, my betrayer is near. When I looked at this verse, and I began to see it, and I looked at it for what it's worth, I began to see the distress that was up on Jesus. I began to see, how the agony of his mental state was. And I also began to see something else, that there are many people would not understand what you're going through mentally and emotionally. You will depend upon them, but many of them can't comprehend where you are. Even when you go to them and saying that I'm having problems with my mental state right now, my emotional state, many of them take that lightly. And I begin to see some quotes here, and I want to read them to you, and then I'm going to go into the rest of what I have to talk about. And it begins to talk about more about what should I do, or when should I consult someone when I feel like that I'm having issues or I'm having problems. A few quotes that I found was this: the only thing more exhausting than having mental illness is pretending that you don't. Let me say that again. And it was amazing that when these quotes came to me, I subscribe now to motivational quotes and things every day. And these happened to pop up one day. And I said, well, God, you must know I was struggling with trying to find some type of quotes or some type of thing. And I don't know who said these quotes, but they fit right into the message today. Right into the message. Because Jesus was in distress and he needed his disciples to be there for him and with him, and yet and still he was even abandoned by them at his most crucial time. Now, if Jesus went through that, just think about us or others that are having emotional distress. Let me read this one again. The only thing is more exhausting than having a mental illness is pretending like you don't. And there's many people that are pretending like there's nothing wrong. There's many people that are in our presence that act like there's nothing wrong with them. But when I looked at this and I said the second piece to this that they do not have is also the people that know that folks are having mental issues and problems and pretending that they don't. Oh, y'all missed that. You missed that. The next quote that I found was this that popped up. It said this: never underestimate the pain of a person, because in all honesty, everyone is struggling. Just some people are better at hiding theirs than others. Every last one of us are struggling. Every last one of us are going through something emotionally. Every last one of us are going through something mentally, and especially these last 2 to 3 years. There are people that are emotionally struggling. I had told you that suicide is at an all-time high. Suicide in our youth is at a staggering all-time high. And so everybody is going through something. Everybody is going through, but people are hiding what they really feel. They are, again, they are afraid to let people know how much they are hurting and how, they are going through emotional distress, because many people will not understand your pain. They will not understand where you are. Well, I thought you were stronger than that. I thought you was a preacher. I thought you was a minister. I thought you was an evangelist. Don't you go to that church where they teach about this stuff when he's supposed to be? Many people will look at you and act like they're surprised that you are having problems, but they're having problems themselves, and they just afraid to tell somebody that they are going through a mental, issue or problem or disorder. And here's the other one that I found. And it said, never underestimate, I think I just read that one, this one. Those who suffer from mental illness are stronger than you think. We must first, talking about the people that are suffering from mental illness, they must first fight to go to work. Then they have to fight to care for their families. Then they have to fight for their friends. Then they have to fight to be normal, all while battling mental pain and suffering. Do you understand what that just said? And I believe every last one of us that are dealing with some type of mental or emotional disorders, we are fighting each and every day. And I want to make this inclusive, because I think that all of us cycle in and out of having emotional disorders or emotional problems, or times and periods that we just feel like that we want to check out. I wish the church was full. And I wish that we would say amen, to these things, because it is so true. And as I began to look at this, and I began to look at, well, then, what can we do here? When do people really need to start looking and consulting to get help? And I'm trying to build up to where we have the panel and we have the professional people that is going to come in and talk. And I'm hoping sometime next week, depending on what all we have to do, for the funeral and everything else, that maybe we can get some questions and some things that are written up where that we can address a panel to come in and talk to us, about, mental and emotional disorders. And so when I looked at this, it says, when should we really start doing something about this? And that's the surprising thing. Many people suffer through this without seeking any type of help. And even when they try to go to people that they trust, the people that they trust is not there, just like the disciples were not there for Jesus. He wanted them to be there to do what? To support him. Sometimes people just need your support. They need your presence. They need to know that you're there. They need somebody that they can just say, hey, let me open up to you. Jesus opened up to them, and he told them up front what he was going through. He did not hide it. He did not sugarcoat it. He told them exactly the distress that was upon him, even to the point of being anguished, and even to the point that it feels like that it's overwhelming, that he was going to die. But yet and still, they didn't have the strength to be there. Let me tell you something. When you are there to be able to support or to give service to an emotional person, or a person that has mental illness or going through something, it can be exhausting. But they need you to stay intact. They need you to stay there with them. And these folks couldn't even do it for an hour. 1 hour. And Jesus said, I need you. But after several times, the third time, he said, sleep on, because you can't help me now. You know, when I needed you the most, you was not there. When I needed you to help me pray through. Sometimes people just need you to be there so that they can talk through it, and so that they can bounce some things off of you without your criticism, without you giving any. They don't need your words. They just need you to be there. People want you to be there. They want you to be involved, but they don't want your criticism. They are already hurting. They're already going through something. And so they need you to be present, to be there. So when should we try to seek out help? When you have thoughts of emotions or behaviors that are out of control, you should be looking for somebody. You should be looking for professional help, or you should be looking to find somebody that you know that is going to be present, that somebody that is going to be engaged in your life, that somebody is going to be there with you. Jesus thought after 3 years of walking with these brothers that they could be there for him, and he selected 3 to be there with him. He left the others behind. He said, but I'm carrying you 3 because you are supposed to be there. My inner circle, you're supposed to be there for me. And they were not. They fell asleep on him. When you have thoughts of emotions or behaviors that are out of control, especially when they are affecting your relationships, your work, or your sense of well-being, do you hear what I'm saying? When you are up under mental and emotional distress, it messes with your relationships. You're short with people. You don't want to be bothered with people, but that's the time you really need people to be involved in your life, and you need them to be present, and you need them to let you talk some stuff out without interrupting you. Y'all missed that. Because if you would just listen, if you would just be there for them, then you'll understand the agony and the things that they're going through. And I know at a point in the time, it gets exhausting because you're hearing it over and over and over and over again. But they need you. Man, and I'm feeling very, very excitable and emotional about this, because I know how much it is needed in our black communities right now. I know how much it is needed in our communities at large and in our people. People are dealing with stuff, and it is affecting, so much of their lives, how they work and their relationship and their well-being, or how they feel about themselves. Watch this. Never feel embarrassed to ask for help. Can I say that again? I don't care who you are. If our Lord and Savior say, hey, I need your support, if I need your help, I need you to be there with me, I need you to come alongside me, I need you to be there, you're present. If Jesus said it himself, I need you. We take it that he was always operating within his deity and never in his humanity, and so he never needed anyone, but he needed them at that moment. There's times the strongest of us is going to need somebody when we are going through something emotionally and mentally. Do you hear what I'm saying? I don't care how strong you think you are. And sometimes we forget that people are just human beings. And you can keep dumping on them, and you can keep giving them more, and you can keep doing stuff, and you can keep saying stuff, and to a point where they say, I can't take anymore. I need to be supported myself. Never, ever feel embarrassed to ask for help at times when you are upset or depressed or emotionally going through something. Don't think that you have to bear it alone. When else? When you're struggling to deal with life, painful issues and challenges. Many of us don't want to admit that life has put us in a situation where we don't like it. When I tell you, when it comes down to this ministry, when it comes down to job, when it comes down to family, when it comes down to being able to talk to so many different people to help them through, I got to a point last year where I said, God, I just can't take any more of life challenges. I'm sick of it. Do you hear me today? So when you're struggling with dealing with life painful challenges, such as illness, the loss of a loved one, a divorce, a job separation, friends that are walking away from you and hurt you, or so many other issues and problems that become life problems, these issues may be overwhelming at times. And it may not just be your illness. It can be a loved one. It can be a mother. It can be a father. It can be a child. It can be a husband. It can be a wife. It can be a great friend. But now you find yourself dealing with that and being a part of that. And it can emotionally mess you up. It can mentally mess you up. That's when you need to seek help. That's when you need to seek help. And I told you this ain't gonna always sound like church and teaching a series like this. Do you hear me today? When the use of alcohol and drugs becomes your primary therapy of coping. Y'all didn't get that. You need to seek help. You need to seek professional help, because now you're going to the recreational stuff, the alcohol and the drugs to help you to cope with, life issues and life problems, to be able to try to distance yourself to even function or to think about it, to alter your mood in order to cope. You need to go and seek help. But I can cope better when I have this alcohol. I can cope better when I have these drugs. But you don't understand that they are causing more issues and causing more health problems. They're affecting your relationships. They're altering your mood. They will ultimately destroy your relationships, your jobs, and you are not able to function to do your other daily responsibilities. Do you hear what I'm saying today? And there's many people, in order to cope with the emotional disorders, in order to cope with, the issues and problems emotionally and mentally, then they self-medicate with the drugs and the alcohol from day to day to day to day just to get through. But when they get finished, they have to still deal with the same issues and the same problems, and so they have to self-medicate over and over and over again. They need to seek professional help in order to deal with their life issues. When you are confused, and you are fighting with your emotions, you are not dealing with the issues and the problems that is in front of you. You can't make difficult choices. You can't sort them out. You're confused, and you can't sort out what to do next. Everything seems to be too difficult to make a decision about. That means that you need to talk to somebody because your emotions and your mental state is stopping you from thinking critically and stopping you from thinking strategically to deal with life issues and life problems, because really it's just too much for you at the time, and you cannot get your mind to wrap around with dealing and solving this issue. And so you become confused. Your mind becomes so messed up and you can't keep things in perspective. And you don't have everything that you need to make the right decisions. Do you understand what I'm saying today? Many of us, when we have a death that is close to us in our families, we don't even know where the insurance papers are. We don't know the next step to make. We don't know how to talk about it. We don't know how to deal with it. It may be weeks before we come out of the fog. It may be, you understand what I'm saying? That's what happens when you are having emotional and mental disorders. And next one, when we ought to be seeking help. When you feel that life is no longer, here it is, worth living. There's so many people get to that point and say, why is I'm here? And, I can't take anymore. It would be better if I don't go through this pain anymore. It would be better if I don't go through this embarrassment anymore. It would be better if I was not a bother to someone. And then they end up thinking the best decision to make is to take their own lives. This is for real stuff, you all. They need help. That's why we shouldn't take it so lightly when people come to us and say, I'm having problems thinking emotionally and mentally. I'm going through something right now. Can I talk to you, or can you just be there for me? I need you. And we say, girl, you'll be all right. Pray about it. Aren't we so quick to say something like that? You just need to get over it. You're stronger than this. And don't let it be about a man or a woman. Girl, you just need to forget about that man. Just going to get you another one. Boy, y'all come on now. How we give this here advice that is so flip and so quick, and we really don't understand, what people are going through. The best way to get over her is just to go on and get you a replacement. How quickly we say things like that. When people are hurting and they emotionally cannot think clearly, they making bad decision after bad decision, and they need your presence. They need you to be engaged in what they're going through, not so quickly to dismiss them. I'm preaching much better than what I feel like people are receiving. They need to ask for help. Because sometimes the pain is so great that they can't even give you all of the specifics. They can't get into all of the details. And Jesus just lumped it up and he said, I'm in distress. He said, almost to the pain of death. It was hurting him so bad. And we know that it affected him not just emotionally and mentally, but it affected him physically, because we can go to some of the accounts of the gospel and we will see even the sweat that he was sweating so hard as he was praying in agony and in distress emotionally, that his capillaries begin to ooze blood. The sweat had blood droplets in it because he was up under such duress. Oh, my goodness. So when people are like that, they need help. They need you to be there for them. Nevertheless, he bore what he had to go through, knowing that it was going to be complete agony. Think about the folks right now that need us to support them, that need us to be there. And think about the ones that know that they need help. And they seek out your help and seek out my help, seek out our help. And if we are not careful, we're going to miss that they need us. It is so quick. in a busy society to dismiss people when they need us the most. Oh, I should have got a big amen on that. This information that I'm getting ready to give you right now is coming from the National Mental Health Association and the National Council on Community Behavior and Health Care. And I thought it was so valuable in reading this and in my research. And said, when you find yourself in mental distress, what can you do to help yourself? Many people need to know that when they are right there on the edge and they know that they're having problems, before they really get so caught up and then they can't really think to help to get themselves through this, we need to give them some type of prescription of how do you really help yourself. If you're not going to seek help right away, what are some of the other things that you can do? And that's what I was looking for. That's what I was searching all over the internet. That's what I was reading, saying, well, what can we do, to help people to say, hey, you know what? You recognize that you're having some issues. You recognize that you're having some problems. And so let me help you. Let me help you. And here's what I found, and I thought it was very significant. And I didn't write them all down. I didn't type them all. But I thought these few were significant enough for me to give to you, and then I'm going to quit for today because I want you to ponder them. I want you to think about them. Do you hear me? I need you to think about them because it is significant, because each and every last one of us is going to find ourselves in a state where that we're going to need to call upon these prescriptions. Number one, value yourself. Value yourself. Treat yourself with kindness and respect. And here it is. Stop. Don't do it. Avoid it at all costs of self-criticism. You're already going through stuff. You already know that you're going through emotional disorders. You already know that you're going through mental disorders. Stop beating up on yourself. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop tearing yourself down. Value yourself. And you already know that this is not your best, and so you need to get to your best, and you will never get to your best if you keep tearing yourself down. Boy, that's good preaching right there. That's good preaching. Make time for your own self. Treat yourself to something special. Sometimes that means you have to distance yourself from certain things and certain people. You have to break up the monotony in your life. Do you hear me? Man, when I started looking at this, and y'all know I deal with just about everybody. And I began to put faces, to this prescription as I was going through it. And we need this. Because I had got to a point in saying, God, I'm worthless as a leader. It seemed like I can't keep nobody. And it seemed like everybody I trained seemed to leave. And it seemed like when I put people in, I began to tear myself apart. And the Spirit of God says, stop it. Stop it. Jesus said that he ministered to many and thousands, and he only had a faithful few that stayed with him. Stop it. Sometimes we can be our worst critic, and especially when we already going through something. We don't have to wait for somebody else to kick us. We kick ourselves. Just imagine you down and you kicking yourself. Many of us go through that in life where we beat ourselves up over and over and over again. And we need to start valuing ourselves, who you are and what you bring to the table. You may not be at your best all the time, but nobody is at their best all the time. Second thing that I found, Take care of your body. I saw that over and over and over again. If you're not sleeping enough, then you got to figure out why you're not sleeping. If your mind is overly active where you can't get into a deep sleep and then sleep deprivation is going to set in, it's going to mess with you over and over again to the point where you break down mentally and emotionally. You got to find out what is it going to take in order for you to take care of your body. And that might mean that you got to start drinking more water and leave alcohol and substance alone. You may have to stop vaping and smoking and all of that stuff. Stop doing the marijuana and everything else. And I know some of you are saying you're self-medicating and it's getting you through, but it could be causing some other things to be out of whack. Here's one that was a part of take care of your body. It says, find out how to exercise for you. That might be walking. That might be cycling. That might be hiking. That might be fishing. That might be shopping but don't really spending. Y'all window shopping. Just going out and looking. You know how much satisfaction that gives to a lot of people, where you can just go out and just window shop and you can just look. You understand what I'm saying? Find out what is good for you. And I know some of you all say that's dangerous for me. Oh, I'm just trying to help you here. You have to get enough sleep. Sleep is so vitally important for your body, restoration and restoring it and bringing rejuvenation, bringing your body back to where it needs to be. I found that out when they found out that I had sleep apnea, that I was losing my breath 40 times during the night, stop breathing and interrupting my sleep, and so never getting to, I believe they call it REM sleep. Never getting there, waking up exhausted and tired, and it caught up with me. Well, you need a CPAP machine. Do you hear me today? Your body breaks down, and so you begin to not think properly when you're not sleeping properly. You don't make good decisions, and you begin to get short with people and irritable. They get on my nerve. Now, about 2 years ago, that didn't bother me at all, but right now, you see what I'm saying? Third point, surround yourself with real people that is concerned about you. Let me say that again, because everybody don't want to hear your issue. This is number 3. Everybody don't want to hear your issue. Everybody's getting tired of you talking. So you need to surround yourself with real people that wants to support you. People that is buying into you. People that is truly, everybody that say that your friend, they're not your friend. They are associates. You talk to them about 10 times about the same problems, they'll drop off very quickly. Amen. I'm tired of hearing that. Here she come again. Here he come again. The same old mess. The same old stuff. When they going to get over? Now, you got somebody that's listening to you for a whole year and they trying to get you through it. You should be clapping. They are really my friend. They are supporting me. But you'll find out very quickly when you are going through something emotionally, when you're going through something mentally, who are really your friends and who is going to stick with you, who is truly there for you. So you have to make sure, is there some strong family ties or some people that you know that are healthy at that moment themselves, that's a part of your network that you can rely upon. And I want to go back and emphasize what I just said. People that are in your network that are healthy emotionally right now themselves. 2 people that are going through emotional and mental disorders coming together to try to help each other is a dangerous thing. Can we talk? Can we talk? We just got to be honest about this. So as much as possible, try to find someone that you know that is stable enough that you can support upon, and they are true friends of yours and a part of your circle. And they hear it said, when I went and looked this one up, it says, if you can find a great support group, get with them. Sometimes it's great to get with people that don't really know you. And so they can't finish everything that you want to say. They can't add to what you want to talk about because they got a little experience with you. People have a tendency to write more into your disorder than what you said. Y'all will catch that later. Give of yourself. This was very high. Give of yourself. Many times, when you can volunteer, when you can help others, when you can start doing certain things and getting involved in certain activities, it helps you as therapy. It becomes therapy for you. Do you hear what I'm saying? Learn how to give of yourself. And here's number 5. That was number 4. Give of yourself. Volunteer. Sometimes you have to keep yourself busy so that you don't continue to think about what you're going through. Oh, you missed that. You hear me? The more that you think about it, the deeper you get pulled into the dark abyss. The more you think about it, the more you think about how you are hurt. The nerve of him, the nerve of her, the nerve of them. And the more and more that you rehearse it, the more and more that you go through it, the more you get sucked in emotionally, mentally, and the more you get distant from reality. And so you have to volunteer and keep yourself busy. Give of yourself. Do certain things. Number 5. Learn how to deal with life stresses. You hear me? We all going to go through stress. We all going to go through disappointments. We all going to go through hurt, and we all going to go through pain. Learn how to deal with some of those things. Practice good coping skills. You hear me? If every time that you have a disappointment, and every time somebody said no, every time somebody reject you, every time somebody, don't like you, every time that you mess up, and you are having an emotional meltdown, then you never learn how to cope with going through life disappointments. Parents, that's a good thing to teach your children early. Don't solve everything for them. Let them critically think through certain things so that they can develop how to deal with life stresses and disappointment. Do you hear what I'm saying? Each and every day, you can look at your life and you can look at what you're going through or looking at what you have to deal with, and you can start writing down a strategy to deal with it, and just don't deal with it when it just, come up. Start thinking about certain situations and how you can deal with it. Keep some type of journal where you can write things down. Start tracking certain things, Don't wait till the last minute. When you wait till the last minute, and I know a lot of people say, well, I do my best work at the last second. That's really not true. The majority of people do not do their best work, at the last moment when there's something is thrown up on them. They do their best work when they can think through things. And so learn how to deal with stresses. Writing things down. Take a step back from it. Walk away from it for a minute. Come back to it. Don't jump in it so quickly. Here's one that I have to learn. Put a little humor in your life. I'm not big on comedy and humor. Not that way. It's got to be something good. Or I got to look at myself and make fun of myself in a certain way. Have you ever said to yourself, "Whew, that was silly"? Boy, you look silly. I'd have done that recently. You hear me? You know, and so you have to start looking at yourself. Don't always take yourself so serious. People used to say, "James, do you ever smile? Do you ever?" Yes, I smile. Yes, I have a sense of humor. Far and in between, but I have one. I have one. I'm always thinking about, how to solve people's problems, how to solve my problem. I'm always engaged in people and situations, and sometimes I forget about me. Anybody like me? You give so much of yourself that you forget about you. And I have to learn how to deal with those things and have some humor. Watch this, number 6. This is big for me. When this came up on my chart and when I was looking for things, I got to put this one in there. Learn how to quiet your mind. Oh, my goodness. Boy, I couldn't wait to get into reading about that. Even the Bible tells us to take a moment. Even the Bible tells us to guard our mind. Even the Bible tells us to meditate upon these things, everything that is good, everything that is pure, everything that is profitable. And so what the writer was saying, you got to learn how to quiet your mind. And that could be meditation, that can be relaxation and exercises, that can be reading a good book or something that is going to be therapy for you. Your music, something. I know people now, they play music in order to go to sleep, and they play a certain kind of music because it has become therapy. They call it therapy music. Do you hear what I'm saying? And so you got to find those things that is going to be able to quiet your mind. I have an overactively mind. And I'm telling you for some people, that means medication. Where your mind can relax, where your mind can rest, and you can get the sleep or the rest that you need. Because your mind can be so out of control, it makes you think about things that are not true. It makes you see things that are not there. It begins to puff up things that shouldn't be puffed up. It begins to add to situations that don't need nothing added to it. Your mind can be overly active, and you can't even get a good night's sleep because your mind is all over the place. Amen? Amen? And I find a lot of people today are dealing with an overly active mind, and that's where I see a lot of people self-medicating in order to go to sleep. I'm here to tell you, as Christians, that, the Bible tells us that we have to guard our minds. Satan wants your mind. Satan wants to take over your mind. This world wants to take over your mind, and your mind becomes overly active. And tell people you can't take on another issue, another problem. Tell them when you can't deal with another situation, you can't think about it or nothing else in your mind. Because people keep on talking and say, well, I know you dealing with something right now, but I just want to tell you. When you told a person that you can't take on nothing else, but they say, well, can you listen to this? No, I just told you I can't take on anything else. I can't listen to nothing else. I don't want to deal with nothing else. Don't bring me nothing else. And more people are more concerned about their issue than yours. Is this good to you? Is it helpful? Break up your routine. I believe it's number 8. Sometimes you got to break up your routine. Sometimes you have to say, you know, I'm going to break up the monotony. I'm going to break up this here stuff. I've been going through this here so long. And I walked into the job a week or so ago. And I got very, very heavy and depressed. I said I've been walking the same way and coming to the same job, doing some of the same stuff for 35 years. Have you ever had that epiphany where all of a sudden your life just seems so routine and you're just doing the same old thing over and over again, and you find yourself doing the same thing, dealing with the same people, going through the same stresses? And you said, when is my life is going to be changed? When is it going to be different? When is it going to do something different? I'm sick and tired of going through this. I'm sick and tired of feeling this way. I'm sick and tired of all of this stuff. I need something different in my life to break this up. Really? Yeah. I said, you know, 3 more months, I'll be 63, and I'm just tired of the same old routine. I have never, ever, ever been able to be like so many other pastors that are full-time and just dedicate everything to, even though I'm dedicating a lot to ministry, but didn't have to worry about going in and dealing with a job and everything else, and a high-pressure job at that. And I said, man, I felt overwhelmed when I started to think about it. Then I shook it off and said, get back to it. Have you ever been that way? Where you looked at your life and said, this is so routine, this is over and over again, and I'm just going through the, over and over again. Matter of fact, you get to work and you don't even know what you passed because you did it so much that it is automatic. It's automatic. You don't know what you've seen. You don't know what you passed anymore. You don't even know when you pulled in that spot that you routinely pulled in. Because it's so automatic. Many of us have put our lives on automatic, and we have put it on autopilot, and we just drifting through. When I look over and I glance one day at a person in a car, and they seemed like they was out of it. And another person seemed like they was out of it. I kid you not. I kept on driving, and I saw a man that was shaving as he was driving. I kid you not. I kept on driving, and I saw a lady with the thing flipped down, looking in the mirror, putting on her, whatever y'all call that. She was doing this brushing up, and she was driving and brushing up and looking. I said, let me get by her quickly. People are just living life and going through the motions. Do you hear what I'm saying? And we have to learn how to break this up. You got to find a way to be more efficient and more effective for you. I'm preaching to the preacher today. Do you hear me? Even though I read it and I wrote it and I got it and everything else, right now it's dropping in my spirit. Do you hear me? What about that book, James, that you need to write, that you want to write, all of the things that you want to do? What about the speaking circuits that you want to be on, and places that you want to go, and people that you want to be before? What about those type of things? To break up this here monotony. Boy, that's good stuff. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Sometimes we just have to know how to rejuvenate ourselves. What does it take to rejuvenate you? Because you are so on edge emotionally and mentally. Well, that's good stuff, James. I'd have messed up my numbering system, so you pick it up wherever you can pick it up. I think this is probably number 9. Limited or don't do alcohol if it affects you. Do you hear me? And I'm saying that because Some people use the alcohol to get through the day to day. And I'm not preaching on or against alcohol at this point. I'm just telling you that alcohol changes your mood. It alters your mood. It alters the way you think. And be careful when alcohol becomes the solution of you getting through life problems. You hear what I'm saying? Be careful that you're relying heavily upon drugs unless they are prescribed to you. Unless they are prescribed to you. Wrote here in the notes, sometimes people use alcohol and other drugs to self-medicate. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not going to beat you up. I'm just saying, if you know that you're out of control with your drinking, if you know you're out of control, with, the self-medicating or the drugs, the marijuana or whatever you're using, and really you should be scared to even do any type of recreational drugs with this here fentanyl stuff going around, and it's being laced in just about everything. And it only takes a little bit of that to kill you. Do you hear me? And I put right here that be careful how I explain this one, because a lot of people would think that you're beating up on them. I'm not trying to beat up on you. I'm just trying to say that sometimes the self-medication only leads to more problems. And I want to help you. I'm the last person to beat up on you. But I know what it is to lose family members from heavy drinking and drugs. You hear me? I've lost sisters and brothers, dealing with these type of issues and problems. And so I'm not saying this because I haven't had experience with people that are going through it. I'm saying it out of love. Watch it if you're self-medicating with alcohol and drugs. Number 10, and then I'm going to quit and close out. I believe it's number 10. It might be number 13. Who knows? And this is the most important one that I believe. And we're talking about how to really help you. Get help when you need it. People by Facebook, people by YouTube, look at me. If you're dealing with some emotional issues and problems and all of those things, I want you to know right now, it is okay to seek help. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not a weakness. You can take that as my quote. I don't care what nobody tells you. Seeking help when you are having mental or emotional problems or disorders is a sign of strength. You gathered yourself and said, I need help in this area of my life, and I'm going to go and get help. There's nothing that you should be embarrassed about to go and see someone that can give you psychotherapy, a psychiatrist, or someone that can help you, or to prescribe some medication to you. You should not be ashamed or embarrassed. You are finally standing up. You're finally getting the strength to say, I need help in this area in my life. And it's a sign of your strength, not your weakness. You are not weak. You're strong, because it takes a lot of strength to say, I need help. It takes a lot of strength to say, I've been dealing with this here way too long by myself. It takes a lot of strength to say, you know what, I don't care what nobody think about me. I'm going to go and seek professional help. One thing that they have learned through all of the statistics and all of the data, that people who get appropriate care can recover from most mental illness and addictions. Most people, when they go and get professional help, can recover and start functioning, as much as possible, because what's really normal? What's really normal? You may think you're normal, but I tell you, I can find some areas in all of our lives that we are abnormal in. Yes, I can. All of us. Every last one of us. Huh? Even the ones that think they're so brilliant, so articulate, so intelligent. Uh-huh. I can find some issues and I can find some things. But as soon as you can get to some professional help, the data and the statistic tells us that most people can begin to start functioning, back in society, where they are useful and they're beneficial and that they can be effective. They can recover. They can recover. And many of these people are operating in ministry and they are gifted. They're gifted. I guarantee you many of your artists, that are dealing with mental and emotional problems. Many of your actresses and actors are dealing with mental and emotional problems. But when you see them and they're putting on their performance and when they're doing what they do, you don't recognize that many of them are dealing with issues and problems until you start reading some of the things that they're going through. So we are not alone. You're not by yourself. We are not by ourselves. There are many people that are dealing with these issues. Our society got to take it, we got to take it serious now. I'm seeing too many people out on the street that are dealing with mental issues and problems. We have cast them out on the street, and giving them what we consider their rights. We are hurting them and they're just out on the streets and they need help. We have made it hard for people to come and say, I need help. Professional help. Do you hear me? I just truly believe that our government should do more to be able to help people that are going through mental disorders. They really should. And what do you mean? I believe that they should be involved with these institutions, these hospitals, and these drug companies, pharmaceutical companies, because there are drugs and things that are out there that can help most of these people, but it is too expensive for them to even, the normal person to even get to it. Do you hear me? I think our laws have to be rewritten and things have to be done. And I don't know why God has me on this request so heavy these days. But the need is there. There's people that are suffering. And to tell the truth, many of us is probably one traumatic experience away from needing help ourselves. You hear me? Just one experience that can push us over the edge. One issue that can take us totally over. With that being said, I am so looking forward to putting together this here panel and developing these here questions so that we can clear the stage, push all of this stuff back, and have a group of people up here to talk about their experiences, in dealing with mental disorder and mental health. And not even if it's just from their standpoint, but also how they have dealt with it with a loved one or a friend or someone, that they knew was suffering. And I want this to be an open dialogue where we can actually talk about it. I ask that you, as a church congregation, begin to share this information with others. Share it on your posts and share it, with other people. And let them know what we're getting ready to do in having this here panel and talking a little further about mental health and disorder. I think I have done the best job I can, to build up to this, And then we're going to have the professionals to come in. They're not trying to come in and to diagnose you as a congregation. They're coming in to tell you about, whatever they can professionally that will help in this area that we're dealing with. And I want to hear from the psychotherapist, and I want to hear, from the social worker or counselor. And these are folks that my daughter, Dr. Amara Heard Stidham, sent to me and went to school with these folks. And so I'm looking forward to these young people coming in and helping. I think we got to start looking at church like this for real. I'm so sick and tired of people coming to church and shouting and having a good time, speaking in tongues, falling on the floor, rolling over, and then going back the same way. And all of those folks that say that they got strength and they got power and they casting out demons and stop lying. Stop lying. You need to stop it. And if you want to send me something, send me something. Now challenge me if you want to. I'll get on Facebook and internet, and I'll do the same thing that you're doing. Okay? And what is that? I'll show you up. Because many of us are going through issues and problems ourselves and acting like that we got it all together. I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that I've been hearing coming across the pulpit. I think people the preachers got mental issues and problems. Let's just tell the truth. So stop it. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Because it's time for us to get serious about helping people. People need help. It's more than your offering that you're getting. You hear me? People's lives are at stake. And they're going out there doing some incredible things, and you're not helping them to seek the help that they need. Yes, I'm going to pray about it. Yes, I believe in prayer. Yes, I believe in miracles. I've seen God work miracles, but sometimes miracles come in medication. Sometimes miracles come into therapy. Sometimes miracles come. So let's stop it. Let's stop it. Yes, my faith is intact. My faith is intact, and I believe. Yes, I speak in tongues. Yes, I pray. Yes, I fast. Yes, I shout. So don't tell me that I must be doing something wrong if I want to go to therapy and medication and all of those things to help the people. They need it. They need it. Amen. I thank you for listening. And I'm passionate about it because God told me to be passionate about it. And I'm not going to apologize anymore. Do you hear me? I'm going to keep on teaching what God told me to teach. So looking forward to the panel. I thank God for you. Amen. We're getting ready to dismiss. Stand to your feet. We ask that you please don't forget about your tithes and your offering. The ministry needs it. There's so much that we're going through and so many things that we have to get accomplished. Tithes and offering has dropped off tremendously, and we need you. We need you. Lady and April are doing the best that we can, to try to keep things going. I believe that we're digging deep ourselves, to keep things going. We need you on a consistent and regular basis to give. There's not many of us, but if we all come together and pull our resources together, we can keep ministry going. It costs you all. It costs. Utility bill, just the utility bill and running the air conditioner last month through all of this heat was right at $800. It costs. It costs. It costs. And you want to sit in a church where you ain't sweating half to death or freezing. So it costs. That's not even talking about the rest of the bills that it takes to run ministry. We need your support. We need you speaking up about your ministry and getting other people involved. Share messages and different things about your ministry, like you share your food posts or looking at your posts. What do you mean looking at? Y'all looking back. Or your tooted up lip posts, or your Mac Daddy posts. We got all of these posts, but why don't you post up your ministry? Go ahead. Help boost your ministry so that we can get more people in here. We need many hands to make the work of ministry light. Amen? Amen. Announcement.